The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Pollard streaks in. Touchdown. Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Nick Harris, John Machota, and Kyle Yeomans.
It's time for a Friday edition of Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. You know what that means.
Doggone right.
For the first time in the brand new SWBC studios, it's a Say It With Your Chest Friday.
Say it with your chest, y'all. I need to hear some Donkey Kong. DK. Donkey Kong. No, not a Super Mario guy? Okay, good talk.
I don't know about the chant.
I got you.
Thank you very much, Beamer.
Beams in the back, like yelling it.
I've seen the movie like 10 times.
I know you have, because you have children.
Got the kiddos after it, right?
Who's Mario?
Stop it. Don't even.
Actually had a Mario reference on the call last weekend.
Did you? It's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. When,
I'll have to go back and get it.
yeah, thank you. Was that Malik Davis when he hurdled? Was that Malik?
Yeah. It was Malik, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
He
so
went
he-
up and
Yeah.
he hit the block.
There you go.
I like it. Malik Davis, practice squad. Malik Davis, as he makes his way to the practice squad. He's still around, so that's good.
That's really good for the Cowboys.
Couple guys able to do so, but we are here on a Friday from the Star in Frisco. Hope everybody has a safe weekend, of course. But beforehand, we're going to give you some listening to go into your weekend with. Isaiah Stanback, John Machota, Nick Harris. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Nick Harris, I'm going to let you start talking points today.
I'm trying to ingest a kolache at the moment.
Oh, should I go away from you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, it was a potato, egg, and cheese. How was it?
It was phenomenal.
Okay.
Shout out to us. Wait, you brought it.
I did.
You brought it.
It's
right?
Isaiah's spot, but I was the one that
Okay.
brought it today.
Shout out to both of you. Only Emmy Award winners find those type
know
of.
about these
Boom.
places,
So if
yeah.
I can-
We don't know about those
I
things.
have no
Those
idea.
poor people.
Yes.
Talking points. Okay. I guess we could talk about. The practice squad was filled out since the last time we talked. Lost Isaiah Land to the Colts. A little bit of old news, but I guess we could touch on it. I want to talk about Isaiah Land because a lot of fans are really upset by the fact that he, that the front office let him go. But think about it. He's in the deepest position group in the entire team, by far, by a long shot. They would need that spot somewhere else. And we're talking about a guy who would have been number 53 on the roster. You know, I think there's some unreasonable disappointment in there. Disappointment is valid, but to go to the extreme that I think some fans have gone, I don't think it's that huge of a deal. I really like how they filled out the practice squad. I think it's pretty interesting that Jabril Cox went to Washington, lost Dennis Houston to New York. There was a lot of NFC East on NFC East crime. Got Sean Houston from the Giants, backup interior lineman. So. A lot of inside trading there, I guess. But other than that, I like the way they filled out the practice squad.
So who's the obvious guy that shouldn't be on this team so that they can have Isaiah Land?
On the 53?
Yeah.
I can't say that.
No, you don't want to say it?
Just give a position.
I think the answer would be Hunter Lipke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's your
That's
guy.
why I couldn't say it.
That's your guy.
I'm the president of the fan club.
Yeah. It comes down to a numbers game, though, at that
It
point,
does.
right?
It really does.
Where-
I'm looking at the roster right now. I don't see a lot of obvious answers here.
No, I think it's just the numbers game of it being a crowded room. I mean, Isaiah Land did what he could in the preseason to shine. He played well, but a lot of times whenever he played really well, it was in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, whenever he was playing against the reserves of the reserves.
Yep.
In the preseason action. So it wasn't like he flashed against starting offensive linemen in the early parts of the game, or he was going up against rookies that were top 4-round draft picks.
There's
that you were
just some
going up
overrating
against.
that goes on this time of year overall.
Yeah,
It's-
1,000%.
A little bit.
Name all those Cowboys that they've lost. That just, man,
Matt
been
Moore.
so different if you keep them.
Matt Moore.
Matt Moore,
Matt
geez.
Moore.
That was
Man.
the one guy.
You got
maybe.
to think they got to have at least maybe a 6th trophy, maybe a 7th if they kept more. You know, that would've been huge. I mean, it's just a lot to. I mean, come on now. What are we talking about here? And this is a team that is loaded on defense. It's not like, man, they let this guy go. Like, if everyone's healthy, like you're talking about an edge rushing rotation that he's never going to see the field.
No. Yeah, I think when is the last time I saw Todd Archer kind of ask the question.
Todd and I talk about this all the time. We always laugh about this time of year how people get so bent out of shape over somebody let go, and you're just like, name someone that they've let go that you're just like, man, that would have changed everything. That's such a huge loss.
A lot of times it's like cuts either after the 53-man roster, it's trades, and it's if they're going to lose somebody that's significant, it doesn't happen at this point in the process. It goes either later on or at some point early in the process whenever they already make a decision on a guy.
And they've also had a lot of success, probably more than most, on undrafted rookie free agents that they've brought in over the last decade plus, maybe even longer than that. You probably go back to the beginning of, the 60s. I'm sure that they, Gil Brandt, I'm sure was finding guys that, if you go back and look. But I'm just saying, like, there's never been this, like, make or break guy that they've let go that you're just like, man, that would have made the biggest difference in the world. But it's the NFL gets some of the blame for this, though, because of the fact that the NFL does a good job of making everything seem like it's a holiday. Everything's a holiday. The schedule release, first preseason game, second preseason, third preseason game, roster cuts. Dude, that's one of the biggest reasons it surprised me that they cut. Well, actually, you know what? Let me take that back. That's probably why they did it, so that it'd be only one day of roster cuts, because then it's a real holiday. It can't be a holiday if it's like, well, we're going to cut 15, 20 guys, and then we're going to cut another couple, 10, 15 more. No, but when you have to trim the entire roster and everybody does together, that's a big thing that everybody can talk about, a lot of talking points. But I'm not even, this isn't just the Cowboys thing. I'm talking about, like, all the teams. Who was let go that you were just like, man, you got to get that guy right now?
Nobody. Yeah. Not really. I mean, it depends on the needs of the team. Like, Dallas goes out and gets a couple guys, interior defensive linemen for the practice squad, interior offensive linemen from New York. You go and get those guys. But other than that, I mean, there's not like a massive guy out there that should be talked about in that regard.
There were a couple of quarterbacks that were interesting, but this team specifically doesn't need any more. But I guess other teams could have used. Like, I'm surprised Bailey Zappi cleared waivers and ended up back in New England. That surprised me a little bit, but.
Where did Max Duggan end up?
He ended up back at the Chargers.
He did. He cleared waivers and went right back. Interesting. A couple guys there back and forth. What was cut day like for you, Isaiah?
Sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got just cut a lot.
Yeah, I'm not throwing shade by any means.
No, man. I mean, you gotta remember when I came here, it was super competitive. The team was loaded up, pretty similar to how it's loaded up now. I mean, the rosters was pretty stacked. We had 13 Pro Bowlers my rookie year here in Dallas. I was battling a ton of injuries, so I was always overcoming something, right? I was trying to figure out how to play a new position. I was overcoming injuries. I was trying to have an impact on the team. So there was a lot of stress that I was always on. So cut day was always stressful because there was never a time that I felt, aside from our first year, that I felt like I was just in the clear. So you feel for those guys. At least I feel for those guys now because it's super stressful. I mean, people need to understand. You sign a contract. Okay, say you sign a contract, you're going to make $1 million. All right, that'll be awesome, right? So you sign a 1-year contract, $1 million. That doesn't mean you're getting $1 million.
No.
Right? In almost any other industry, you sign a contract that says you're going to get $1 million, you get $1 million. Not in the NFL, right? They are going to do everything they can to bring in as much competition to ultimately possibly weed you out. So that contract that you sign, there is absolutely nothing that you can do. Nothing that you can do and to make sure that you get your bread from that, aside from put your best foot forward and hope that that's enough, right? So when you got guys like, Isaiah Land or I don't even know who else you want to throw out there that are trying to make the right, Malik Davis, right? Right in the mix. Sean McEwen, guys that are like resting their head on this money and you're trying to live your life on a potential salary. Life is hard. I mean, I know a lot of people at home are going to say, oh, they're making this much money. I get it. It's all relative.
Some of those thoughts are going through my mind.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about things that, for sure. I'd love to play in the NBA.
It's all relative, right? So, I mean, you think about most of the guys, if this isn't where they're from, they most likely have a residence back home. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then you have a residence here. So you're paying, call it maybe a mortgage and
rent.
And rent, right? So you're paying mortgage and rent, right? You're going back and forth, so you got to pay transportation costs. You're getting taxed in the highest tax bracket, right? If you're just in that high tax bracket, now all of a sudden you're getting taxes if you're making, big boy money when you're really just barely scraping that tax bracket. Yep. So you're getting taxed a high percentage. You're paying a percentage. I always say, depending on your faith rate, you're paying another 10% towards that. You're paying another 3% to your agent. So, I mean, you're under 50% of what you see in these contracts. And that's if you even make the roster. right? And even after you make the roster, unless you're a seasoned veteran that if you're on the roster day one, you're guaranteed. That's why some of this stuff kind of still happens going back and forth in terms of practice squad now. You'll see some veterans on the practice squad through week one, and then all of a sudden they end up on the regular roster because now they don't have to guarantee their money. But even after that, imagine having that contract and still not having the assurance that you can make a check the next week. Yeah. Life is stressful. Every single day. And a lot of people that are on salary make a lot of decisions based upon their family, based upon their home, and the rest of their life based upon the money that they know is going to come in. You can't live that way in the NFL, and it sucks.
A really quick story that was shared with me yesterday that I thought was really interesting, and it kind of aligns with the point here. I was talking to Trey Lance about how he's having to move his entire life back out here to Texas. It's like, I just bought a house in San Francisco last year, and I'm going to have to – I was like, do you still have to go back and get all your stuff? And he's like, yeah, we're going to have to figure that one out. And he's like, I'm up at the Omni right now for a little bit. So, and that's tough. That's really tough when you have to flip on a dime and move somewhere and be ready to go the very next day.
One of my female friends actually works with some of the guys here on the team, but she started a whole relocation company for athletes.
That's smart.
Because it's a real thing. It is a stressful thing. When I got let go from here, I luckily was able to keep my house, but I had to find a spot in New England days later.
Yeah.
You think they have like a scouting department? Like, oh, okay, I think he's going to get cut. We should start calling.
Hey, you know what? They're on standby. I can promise you that. But it sucks.
Telemarketers.
Yeah. But I mean, to your point, I mean, you got tax ramifications. You're getting taxed every state that you play a game in, you get taxed that game. You play a game in New York, you're getting taxed for New York for that week.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that the general public just doesn't understand, but it is a stressful life, man. And you're blessed to have the opportunity, but it does not come, especially for guys that are on the bubble or guys that are getting lower tier salaries in comparison, right? In comparison to their comrades. You're not balling. I'll put it that way. You're not just
to Trey Lance's salary.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Lance is making some bread.
Okay.
Yeah, he's probably okay.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. No doubt he'll figure it out.
Somebody wants to give me his salary and ask me to move a couple times.
I mean, but
I'll be all right.
But the reality is, a lot of these bubble guys are in the same tax brackets, or they have the same amount of commas in their account as everybody else that's listening to this show right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
They got one comma. Most guys have one comma.
Well, I mean, that doesn't count you.
The heck it don't.
Everybody else.
The heck it don't.
Everybody else.
The heck it doesn't. Most guys have one comma, and people don't put themselves. They create some kind of sense of separation between the athletes that they see on TV and themselves. And the reality is, they're working just as hard as you are for their job as you're working for your job.
Typically, the rookies here, they don't get a place until they make the team. Like there have been rookies that have been here since April.
Yep.
Staying in the Omni. They love it there. Don't get me wrong, but that's it's fascinating.
It is. It's a side of the game that you don't think about whenever you're watching on Sundays or whenever you're watching these preseason games. And of course, from a football standpoint and just an overall caliber standpoint, the football isn't as good in the preseason as it is in the regular season, no doubt about it. But it means just as much for a lot of these guys, and that's not even an undersell. I mean, these guys are literally paying for their livelihood, playing for their livelihood in these preseason games, and it matters.
And
what's
their work experience, Kyle, if that was their last day of football?
There's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because they've been working on
maybe
football.
the degree they have.
Everybody, I mean, but even if you have a degree, what's your work experience?
Absolutely, that's what matters.
Right? Yeah. Everybody else, all your other friends have been going to school for the last 4 or 5 years, and they know exactly what career path. They've been doing internships, right? They already started jobs. They're already getting promotions. And here you are. I've been focusing on football, and all of a sudden football ends, and I might have a
business degree.
Yeah, I might have a degree, but everybody has a degree now. Let's just keep it real, right? It's not what it used to be, right? Everybody has a degree, and you're sitting up there trying to figure out, now where do I go? Let me go on LinkedIn and try to figure it out and have a starter kit job.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the reality, and it sucks, and that's why you see so many guys with a lot of this mental health conversations really starting to present itself, because you're sitting there having to, I was just on NFL Network playing in the game last week, and now all of a sudden I'm sitting at the crib and I got to figure out where my apartment is and how I'm going to pay for that because my checks stop. I don't have any other checks coming in past this week. All I've been making is the $1,000 a week for the Cowboys, whatever it might have been through training camp, and I don't have anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the reality for most of these players.
And there's a lot of guys that are going through that right now and going through those cuts. Now, the Cowboys did bring back all 16 players on their practice squad and with a couple of additions. I don't even know how to say his last name. Do you know how to say his last name?
What? You don't know how to say somebody's name?
Are we talking about Willington?
Prevalon? Is it Prevalon?
As far as I know.
Okay. It looks like, I know, isn't that weird? He must have been before the 2020 draft class.
He was 2019.
Yeah, okay. There it is. Defensive tackle from the Bucks, as Prevalon is now a Cowboys D tackle on the practice squad. Sean Harlow, offensive lineman from the Giants. But then you've got Malik Davis, Sean McEwen, Jalen Cropper, Earl Bostic, Tyron Billy Johnson, Brock Hoffman, Malik Jefferson, C.J. Goodwin, Sheldrick Redwine, Josh Butler, Tyrus Wheat, Princeton Fant, Darrell Johnson, and Alex Taylor Prelau. So
I'm angry at Nick.
why?
What'd I do?
I'm angry at Nick. Because I had bubble guts a couple days ago, right? Mm-hmm. And I told everybody why I had bubble guts.
Why was it?
Because of the offensive line.
Yeah.
Right?
What about it?
And Nick told me that my bubble guts were going to be settled.
He's going to go get an offensive
without
lineman.
having to drink pink drinks, okay? My bubble guts were going to be, I was going to have a solution for this.
Have a little Black Rifle.
Yeah, I'm
coffee.
having a little Black Rifle company to settle my
work.
bubble. Okay? But
They went and got an offensive line.
product placement.
it's not enough. It's not enough.
They got a practice squad offensive.
It's not
And
enough.
they got one, though.
I agree with you. They have to be thinking.
I mean, think about this. Worst case scenario, right? And I'm not putting this in the air, but I'm just saying this is reality.
Sounds like you're putting it in.
I'm
the
not
air.
putting it in the air at all, okay? I wanted to come back down. So it's like helium after a day. So if something were to happen as random as what happened to Tyron last year, okay? Right there in the indoor. If something random like that happened, what is the state of your mind at that point?
that you have to have somebody step up at guard because Tyler Smith is going back out to left tackle.
And how do you feel about that?
Oh, not great, but I don't think that they do either. I mean, they're not going to come out here and tell you this when they're trying to work a move for somebody, but I would be surprised if they're just sitting there and going, yep, 53, we got everybody we need. We're done. Like, they're just, I find it hard to believe that they look at that offensive line and go, no, we're good, we're good. I mean, heck, even with Terrence Steele, like, I know everything's been great, had his schedule and all that. It's still a major
Still
injury
early. He's still early.
from. There's no question that you look at the roster and you automatically go to that offensive line depth. There's no question.
It's kind of felt at times that they're trying to find more the left tackle replacement than the left guard replacement at times. Like moving Chuma Edoga out to left tackle, I feel like he's more of a natural guard anyway.
Yeah.
But then Austin Richards moving him to left tackle and giving him all those reps during the preseason specifically. So
don't you feel more confident at tackle right now than you do at guard?
Yes, because you have multiple
sure.
guys.
Yeah.
Because
you can play
Tyler
musical
Smith's
chairs.
Ability, but the part I don't feel confident about is that you don't have that swing tackle that like is the next that's ready to come up and play there. Because Tyler's been great at moving back and forth. He says all the right things. He is just like the way he's wired is. I mean, like that just crazy draft steal that they were able to even that. The thing that there were even questions about taking him in the first round. Now that you get to see the whole picture, he's been amazing. But I still don't love the idea of having to be like, yeah, man, just be ready because you're going to play left guard this week, left tackle next week. Maybe you get back to left guard. Like I would love to keep him for a full season at certain positions, and not have to move him all the time.
I think with the tackle position and not having that swing tackle, he is your de facto swing tackle. But does that really settle the debate at swing tackle? I mean, you want somebody to come up and step up in that regard, but who do you need more? Do you need a swing tackle to step up, or do you need a guard to step up?
What really gets wild though is if Terrence goes down. Because if Terrence goes down, then Tyron goes back out to right, then Tyler Smith goes left. That's the one where
swing tackle to me is a luxury. Swing tackle is a luxury. If you can find somebody that can swing both sides,
they're so valuable in the league.
That is
nowadays.
A luxury. So that. I know Dallas has gotten used to having a swing tackle, so it's kind of like they're kind of like vitamins, right? They're just used to having them, but it's not normal. It's not normal. So I don't rest as much pressure on that. I don't put as much emphasis on a swing tackle, but true guards, I do. I definitely do. Yeah. Because you take a Tyler Biotis that yes he got the Pro Bowl and all that jazz, but I'm still not gung ho about Tyler Biotis. No disrespect to him. I just think when you start facing some of these defensive linemen that the Cowboys are going to have to definitely handle this year, I need some dogs in there, and I need some dogs behind the dogs.
Yeah.
Right? So if something were to happen, because it's big boy football and injuries happen, they just do, right?
Look at every year of Mike McCarthy's tenure. They haven't had a healthy offensive line all the way through.
It's unrealistic to think that offensive linemen are going to get through a whole year on
It's not going to happen.
It's just, So I don't feel like you got that dog that you just like, okay, we're good. We're good. All right, go ahead, go get healthy, Kyle. You're good. We're straight. I'm going to be like, hey, Kyle, how you feeling? We good? You straight?
You want to push it a little bit?
Hey, Britt, can we tape it up? No, we can't tape it up?
Can't tape it. Oh, man.
You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to any of the guys. I'm just saying that's just my sense of security right now. I'm hoping, and I know the front office does an amazing job. This is the most aggressive I've ever seen them in an offseason, in a regular season. Like, they're being super aggressive. I hope that continues. I hope they keep that energy to secure that position, because chances are something will happen at some point in time.
Yeah, it's bound to happen, and things are going to definitely come in and throw a wrench into things, and I don't want it to happen on the offensive line. And right now, I think all of us would agree that's the number one position of concern on this football team, right?
Yep.
I think it's offensive line. Other than that, you feel really good about this roster. You feel really good at everywhere else. It's just the one spot, which is a crucial one.
Yes.
It's a little bit thin. And even the starting five, I feel really good about.
Yeah, starting five, solid.
But it's after that starting five that where you have a bit of pause. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we pay our dues to a legend. We pay our goodbyes to the legendary Gil Brandt. And we'll also take your text messages, 817-290-3298. We'll even take some phone calls here on a Say It With Your Chest Friday, 888-855-2297. Those are the two phone lines to remember. Go ahead and put it in your phone and continue to be a part of the Talkin Cowboys conversation. We'll be right back right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle Coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't stop banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
This portion of Talkin Cowboys is brought to you by Quaker Oats, a super trusted superfood. Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back in, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. They finally sent us some swag. Black Rifle Coffee does a great job of taking care of us. If we could take my one shot here, I think Cowboys fans would really like this coffee overall, because it's a gorgeous looking coffee can. This is a vanilla flavored coffee beverage, and it's got 300 milligrams of Freedom Fuel is what it says.
That's right.
Basically just caffeine.
Called Go Juice.
Go Juice.
That's
I had one of these before my game yesterday, before my high school play-by-play.
How did that go?
It was the best play-by-play I've ever had, and it was 41-3.
Ooh.
I'm semi-kidding,
Yeah.
but also the drink was fantastic. That was probably the only one of these specific cans I'm going to actually drink, because it just looks so cool. But yeah, they hooked us up, so special thanks to Black Rifle Coffee. You can actually get these in the brick and mortars in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex very, very soon. So if you're around DFW, you can get some of these Cowboys branded America's Team, America's Coffee cans. All right. We do want to say some respects for Gil Brandt, of course, passed away earlier this week, Thursday morning, at the age of 91. Gil Brandt, who served as the vice president of player personnel for the Cowboys from 1960 to 1988. He was extremely involved in the building of this organization. He was extremely involved even up until his passing with the NFL, and he was always a trailblazer and somebody that really paved the way for plenty in the scouting departments across the league. Nick, I know you put the story on DallasCowboys.com after the news broke, but for the most part, Cowboys Nation a little subdued this week because of Gil Brandt and seeing him pass away. A legend in every sense of the word.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to touch on a...
You're muted, by the way.
Is there a mute button?
Down below.
Where at?
Under the table.
Under the table.
I'll come over there. We'll start with John.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see this because I want to accidentally turn mine off too. But no, I think the biggest thing is, he had such a big impact on really they're building the Cowboys to what they are. It's not like they just became the Cowboys in the 90s by winning Super Bowls. It was everything he did scouting wise before that changed the game in scouting to where it still has impact to today. I mean, it kind of sped everything up to where, just the idea of doing all this scouting and not having it all computerized and things like that. Like, it just seems like so crazy that just would seem like that's what you would do. Everybody would do that. Once it came a time when, like, okay, now they're introducing computers. We got to be able to get all this information onto something. And he was the first person to do that. Now it's like it would be insane to think about not having that. Now you can bring up every clip of everything that you want off of stuff like that. And I think the big thing that also stands out about him was just his ability to find players that at that time there wasn't all the scouting services there are nowadays. I think there's a lot more players under the radar that he was able to find that at that time just people weren't able to get out, and he had a knack for that, whether it be guys that were maybe at a smaller school or it'd be guys that maybe weren't even football players first. They might have been really good basketball players, and he saw the vision of, hey, I can turn this guy into, he could be a good DB and things like that. So yeah, there's no question. I mean, there's a reason he's in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, there were a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. I have a good friend of mine, one of the best scouters I know. His name's Donald Fusilier. He is an offensive coordinator at Graceland University in Iowa. He sent me an excerpt out of a book he read about Gil Brandt a couple of years ago. He sent it to me yesterday, and it was talking about the computer that he had constructed to kind of formulate prototypes for finding players. So it would give you a formula where you could go and look at a guy's roster, see a guy's size, see a guy's intangibles, and put that together, and then they would go out and scout that guy. It was just easier to go find guys. And they said that this computer it sat on the ground. It was 3 feet tall and 12 feet wide.
Wow.
He brought a guy in from the Middle East to help construct it. He said the guy from the Middle East didn't even know if the football was stuffed or pumped. But he came in and he brought the computer in, and that kind of helped them get going in the early times for the Dallas Cowboys to be able to scout players. And then that's how they started finding a lot of guys in the HBCU ranks. And because those guys were having the prototype height, size, weight, all of that at that time, that led to Everson Walls being picked up as an undrafted free agent, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was really interesting. And then also the emphasis on finding multi-sport athletes was super cool too. And I believe he had 5 guys on the first Super Bowl team that did not play college football, which is absolutely fantastic. So and you think about that whenever Rico Gathers comes in about like 10 years ago, right? So very fascinating and very revolutionary to how we even do scouting today. So yeah, everything's owed to Gil Brandt.
Did you ever had a chance to interact with Gil specifically?
I did not, but I've heard a lot of the stories, some of the things that you guys just shared, obviously. But that's just one of the Cowboys legends. And when you hear the word legend, it's about the impact even beyond your lifespan. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they were able to honor him and give him his flowers while he was here, that's absolutely awesome. That's why it's important to do so for everybody else out there that has people that may be on the cusp, or even people that are not. Give people their flowers now so that they know that they're loved and appreciated. And legends like him, they'll continue to live on forever. Their legacy will.
Well said. 91 years old, Gil Brandt. It was a full life. He lived it all the way up until the end. He was very active. Even on Twitter, he was making dad jokes on the final days prior to him passing away on Thursday. So rest in peace to Gil Brandt, and certainly a legend in the building, a legend in the league, and somebody who will have that legacy live on for quite some time. But excited to see the fruits of his labor continue here in the Cowboys fans. And of course, as a Hall of Famer and as a Ring of Honor member, they're going to continue to memorialize him as the season goes along, and that'll be really, really cool to see. All right, we talked about some text messages. We've got some good questions in here. Mike from Fort Lauderdale, he's concerned about Jordan Lewis, and I'll paraphrase his question here, but he's saying Jordan Lewis, very similar to a situation that Michael Gallup had last year. He's not injured enough to go on the PUP list or to go on the IR list early on, but still kind of an in-between guy in those first 4 weeks of the season. But, John, do you really feel like Jordan has a chance to return in a better form than Michael Gallup did last year? Because Gallup, of course, never really looked right whenever he got worked back into the fold.
Yeah, it's going to be tough just because of how significant that foot injury was for Jordan Lewis. I think that everyone just needs a caution from thinking he's going to step in right away and be the player he was before. He's going to need some time to catch up. I mean, he's been working on the side, and he's able to do all the movements that you need to do, but he hasn't been able to do it against NFL competition. So for me, I almost look at it as kind of like this is a sped-up training camp starting for him right now. So if you're expecting for him to contribute in these first few weeks, I don't know. I think that might be asking for a lot, but let him get kind of caught up to where he needs to be football-wise, and I do think he can contribute in several different ways. And also the other thing is that while he's going to have a lot of pressure that he's going to put on himself, because of the corners that are on this team, there isn't going to be as much pressure on him as there was with Michael Gallup, where it's like, okay, Michael, you ready? You ready? Okay, you got to be our two. All right, like, let's go. Amari's gone. This is your time now. You have to step up. Like, if Jordan does that and steps up and plays at the level we've seen him in the past, that's great. But if not, you do have Deron Bland playing in there, and then on the outside, obviously, with Diggs and Gilmore. So, I just know what type of worker he is and how dedicated he is and the type of player he is, being around him now for a while. And he's going to do everything. But you also got to kind of keep this into perspective of, like, being in shape right now and being in football shape ready to contribute on Sunday is a little bit different.
That's a phenomenal point. I think comparing it to Gallup last year, because Gallup was expected to be wide receiver too, and that never ended up working out. What would be the expectation, a realistic expectation, Nick, of Jordan Lewis and where he fits into this cornerback rotation? Yeah,
working in when the season starts, and then once we get to week 5, week 6, maybe we're seeing him full time, playing the role that he was playing last year. It's all a mental game when it comes to those injuries. I think it's a little bit different from Gallup just by the nature of the injury as well. Whatever factors into that mental aspect of it, we'll see. But I will say with Jordan Lewis, I mean, since OTAs, he's been saying, I'm ready to go back on the field. So it's definitely, I don't think there's any mental lapse going on, but it's really tough to tell until you go between those lines.
So I had an opportunity to run into Britt Brown while we were down there in Oxnard. And unfortunately, but fortunately, I spent a lot of time with Britt during my time here. And I can tell you that's a hard man to impress. It's a hard man to impress. It's a man that you have to earn his respect. And he is a freaking boss at what he does. That's why he's so well respected around the league. They've tried to steal him thousands of times. He's dedicated to the Cowboys. So Cowboys Nation, you're lucky to have that man on your staff.
He's the dude.
He is that dude. I have never heard Britt ever say this about any other guy except from Jordan Lewis. And he told me that Jordan Lewis, in regards to his injury, because I was asking him about it, and he said that it was a pretty substantial injury. I had a Liz Frank injury they drafted me with the Liz Frank injury. I think this was that, maybe a little bit different for sure. But they said, Britt Brown said, I have to hold this guy back. He said, I have to hold him back because he would be on the field already if it wasn't for us. His work ethic, his mental toughness, his steadfast spirit, and all that he does. He said, this dude wants to be on the field. He wants to have an impact. He wants to be out there right now. We have to monitor him, and we have to hold him back so that we can make sure that he comes back and actually can have an impact. He doesn't do anything too rash. So I thought that was major. especially from where the source was coming from.
He doesn't just give out compliments like that.
He does not. So that is very encouraging. But to your point, John, you have to temper expectations. I could tell you from just my experience, I can't put this on J. Lou because hearing this from Brett is awesome. Mentally and physically, there's two different things in terms of when you're coming back from an injury. You may physically be capable of coming back, but mentally, if you're not coming over that hurdle, you're not even going to be a shadow of who you were before. So physically, they will let him back on the field, and they're letting him back on the field as they see fit. The mental aspect is up to him. And
it sounds like he's in the right spot.
It sounds like he's in the right spot. So as long as he doesn't have any apprehension to making full speed cuts, being, hesitant before he makes a cut, like those are the things that prevent you from becoming that player again, because you just don't have full confidence that everything's okay. But once that's removed, I think you're going to have another great asset on this roster.
That's awesome. Great insight overall. Now, because you have such great insight, we're going to go to your hometown and hear from one of our favorites, Maurice from Tacoma, Washington. Not hometown, but close to it.
Stinky Town, Tack Town.
I mean, it's close to it. It's still the Pacific Northwest.
I call it home.
It's up there.
Are you a UW fan?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're family then. Let's go.
There it is. What up, Maurice? How's it going, my friend?
Hey, first off, I just want to say it's such a blessing to have you guys back on the air. It was so tough for us truck drivers who listen to you every day, not to have nothing to do. Man, it's a beautiful situation. But my question is, everybody was really hyped up about Dak and how well he did in that game with the play calling. But I'm a little concerned to why not Mike take advantage of the time and the opportunity to really kind of zero in on your game and make sure you got it back. Do we think we should be concerned that he didn't take advantage of that opportunity? But, yeah, that's my question. I'm going to hang up. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Maurice. Appreciate the calls as always, and keep working out there in the truck driving world. That's a tough gig as well. But let's start with John. I want to start with John on this one. Do you like the opportunity for Dak to go in and play call in that final preseason game, or that Mike McCarthy probably needed that reps? Reps.
Oh, I'm fine with that on that. This isn't like, I don't know, since Mike McCarthy took over, he's always had someone in that last game call the offense outside of the offensive coordinator. A lot of times it's been the quarterback coach. And I look at it as, so Mike obviously was on the headset too. I think that you can gain things from that, because there had to be certain things that Dak was saying that Mike was probably like, yeah, let's not do that in this situation, or oh, this is what Dak's thinking here. Okay, let me make a mental note of that. That's what he thinks when this stuff's going on. Like any of their reps. I'm more concerned on the not getting the ones out on the field for any preseason action, just for the early part of the season. And I get why they did it. They don't want to get anybody hurt, and it also leaves some uncertainty for if you're the Giants. What do we really expect from this offense? So I get why they did all of that, but there is a lot of questions about like how smooth is everything going to be early on in the season offensively. Fortunately for them, even if things sputter a little bit, this defense is so loaded that they're going to be in every game, even if the offense isn't clicking. And if it is clicking, hey, great. Then here you go. You're off and running. Now, I was watching the other day, that the QB documentary on Netflix, and in that first episode, they talk about Kirk Cousins taking over, new head coach, new system, and everything like that. And in that first game, like, they were great, smooth, everything went great, and they were just like, oh, we got this. This is no big deal at all. And then the second game kind of got humbled against the Eagles, and there's going to be some ups and downs on the offense, so you just have to kind of expect that. But having everybody be healthy for week one, I totally get that. That makes the most sense. But Mike's been doing the play calling thing. To answer the question, he's been doing it for a long time. He'll know where to go with on this whole thing. So I don't think that that's of major concern. And I think that he probably gain some insights on some things with Dak off of the way that Dak was calling certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. It just allows for more chemistry. And I like what you said about they're able to see what each other thinks in certain situations, in certain moments, because that'll just allow for more chemistry whenever those situations do arise during the season. I have zero problem with Dak calling the plays. It only allows for him to get more comfortable in the offense from an outside perspective. It's the most invested he can be in the offense without actually playing in it. And then for Mike McCarthy, it allows for both of them to see how they think in certain situations.
I completely agree. I think if Dak's not going to play in the preseason, the best way for him to hear Mike McCarthy and to see exactly what's going on in both of their minds is to call the plays himself and kind of have that open dialogue on the sideline. Did you ever get to call plays at any point?
Yeah, I mean, we did in off-season. For
Just
sure.
off-season stuff?
Yeah, off-season stuff. I mean, there's 2-minute situations I was able to go out there and call the plays. For the most part, the play call.
What was your favorite play call? Do I need to give you some time? We can go to our second break.
I mean, some of the things that you're seeing in this offense now. I mean, this is pretty much the offense that I ran in college.
Yeah.
Right? West Coast. That's why I'm so familiar with it. This is run the ball. I mean, we ran zone read and things of that nature to utilize some of the speed that we have between myself and my running back. But we did a lot of nakeds, a lot of bootlegs, a lot of spread. We try to put you in a situation where you had to make a decision whether you wanted to stick me or you wanted to stick my receivers. So either way, just try to screw you.
I've always found the play calling aspect of the game super interesting. Like I'm always thinking of the way that they have it scripted initially and the way that it changes as the game ebbs and flows, and I just think it's super intriguing.
It's a chess match.
I think it's wild. And just if you called one play and that's the play you ran, now you're talking about now you call it in, and then now the quarterback sees something. Then he has to check, kill something off, like all of that stuff all going on. Keep in mind, this is not like in the Ford Center. This is at an AT&T Stadium. This is at MetLife. This is
90,000
Lincoln
yelling
Financial.
at you.
Like it's and there's just so many people that have to be on the same page, and they're not all right by you. When you're checking and making different, like all it takes is like one thing for you to be off. The receiver runs the wrong way. Boom, pick six, done.
Fast.
Like it's just like the littlest thing like that.
There's so much nonverbal communication that takes place, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Like I can't. It's hard for me just to watch football as just a fan. I just can't watch it as a fan. I'm so analytical. And Kyle probably hates it because we sit in the studio and I'm pointing out everything.
Yeah. See, it's funny because it is good give and take. You point out everything that's happening in the football game.
Correct.
And then I'm the one that's sitting there and I'm over analytical about everything that's on the broadcast. Everything that happens on the broadcast.
Facts.
Nick hates it too because we'll be watching college football and he's like, Kyle, shut up. Kyle, stop talking.
But you know what's kind of tough about that, though, I feel like for somebody that has your mind for that, is that it's got to be tough watching like TV copy. Because
can't see everything.
Like for NBA, you see everything that's going on. All 10 guys are on the field together. And it's just with like football, I'm always constantly thinking of like what will be the future of football, because nobody, it's like just the way everyone evolves. No one's ever going to be like, no, we got enough. We don't need any more. No, everything has to continue to evolve. And the more people know, the more that people are going to want to see it. And I don't know how you do that on TV. If you have like an end zone cam in the corner or something like that, but there's just so much more that, that it's, we can see when you go back to the All-22, like after the game and stuff like that. But when it's actually going on, it's so difficult to see all the different aspects.
And that's the reason why I love doing the color commentary.
Yeah.
Because I'm able to inform. And that's like some of the greatest feedback that I receive from those preseason games that we do, is informing the general public of the information that I have and relaying it to them so that they can feel more engaged, right?
Yeah.
So that now when they're watching it, they're more informed. They're like, oh, okay, look at the leverage. Oh, they're able to start seeing the things that we're pointing out. And I have just too much, but it's also the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Because I have all these things that I want to point out, but I can't.
What's another challenge, though, for you, though, too, is that in today's football, how much teams want to speed things up. It's not one of those things where it's like, all right, play's over. Let's look at what happened here. Now I can circle this and go into that.
Ball.
Now it's like, boom, they're on the ball, and here they go. The next, God, what was I watching where they were talking about how they love when they go back and watch the TV copy and like you guys are a little bit behind because they know that they sped up the cadence, and it's like if they watch TV copy and they see that you guys are like a little bit off on it, they love that because they know that there's that give and take, because they do not want it to be solid. Every time we go up to the line, this play's run like this, play's run like they want it to be kind of
quick.
Okay, now we're going quick. No, now we're going to slow it down to keep you like off balance like that. So
it messes up the
teams watch
substitutions,
the TV copy to see like, hey, are we throwing guys off?
Speaking on that, NFL Plus, can y'all please put the down and distance on your all 22? Please.
That would be
They
nice.
won't. Yeah, they don't do it.
It makes it so hard for taking notes.
That's an innovation that we have yet to get to. But hey, maybe we could send a note. Maybe we could send them a letter. All right.
Oh, hold up real quick. I just thought of it. You know where it's from? I don't know if I'm supposed to share this or not. So they do the quarterback. Not the quarterback. So they do a coaching clinic every year for local high school coaches at the Star.
Yeah.
And so I went to all of them, and it's the Cowboys assistants talking, whatever. That's where it was at. They were talking to the coaches, the high school coaches, about how much they love when they watch the TV copy and when like the TV's off. Like they're already going to the next play, and like especially if the camera can't get it in because they're trying to explain something. They love when they watch it. And I never would have thought that in a million years.
That's really challenge is on, Kyle.
It'd be your own people.
It's us in the truck. We got to make sure that everybody's
talking
on.
like twisting the booth.
Yeah.
All right, second break. When we come back, we'll get to Jim in Pasadena, and we'll answer a couple more text messages with more Talking Cowboys right after this.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
To Talkin' Cowboys.
Welcome back to Talking Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. All righty, let's get to Jim in Pasadena. Jim, you're on Talking Cowboys. What's going on?
Good morning, man. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, wondering about running back. If Pollard goes down in the first month, Ronald Jones isn't available. Vaughn and Lipke are gadget players, and I'm excited to see how McCarthy uses them. But neither are cowbell running backs. Does it concern you that we've only got one right now that can really be an every down back?
Great question, Jim. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you as always.
I'm calling Leonard Fournette in that situation. Sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I don't agree with your stance in terms of we only have one real running back. I mean, all these guys are fully capable. It always comes down to how you're utilized and how much you're utilized. I mean, if you run Tony Pollard like you run freaking King Henry, he's going to be beat up too. Deuce Vaughn is fully capable. I mean, people are disregarding him because of his size. Go look at his stats. Go look at his stats.
Actually, our text line question comes from Danny J. in Washington, D.C. We'll combine the two. Okay. He said, first off, go Ducks.
Oh, heck no.
Sorry. Secondly, he said, what's a realistic stat prediction for Deuce? So kind of along the same lines, what would be a good season for Deuce this year?
I don't know what a good season is. It depends on what the demand is. I mean, but like my question is, what can Deuce not do? Like everybody wants to hate on his size. What can he not do? What can't Deuce do that you expect another running back to be able to do?
Pass protect.
Pass protect. I mean, but
he plays above his size in that area. Don't get me
absolutely.
wrong. So.
He's willing to do that.
Who's on this roster right now that you feel like can pass protect like Zeke?
Nobody.
Nobody.
So that's what I'm saying. So like at that point, like.
Yeah. But I think Rico Dowdle's a better pass protector.
I agree.
I don't know that I would love him in the situation of, it's 4th and goal on the 1 and everybody's in.
See, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because the typical ideology on the goal line is to have a big, brawling back.
Yeah.
Brandon Jacobs when I was in New York, right? Yeah. Big Brandon Jacobs, 6'4", 275. That's awesome, okay? But the reality is those guys are like juggernauts. They take a minute to get going, right? What happens when you have a guy that you can't see?
Yeah.
You can't see him. And it's not like he's not strong. The boy probably squats 500.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you have low center of gravity, you have agility, you have power, and you can't see him.
It's like a bowling ball.
It's a perfect scenario for goal line.
Yeah.
When's the last time you see somebody drag somebody across the goal line?
Yeah.
So I'm saying people's ideologies are just, it's not realistic. It's not real. Nobody's getting hit at the 5-yard line or the 3-yard line and they're dragging somebody. I'm going to drag you across the goal line, touchdown. It doesn't happen.
No, a lot of times what you do is you get your quarterback and you get 2 guys on the side of him.
And push. Exactly.
The one thing I was going to say is that it's running back's the complete opposite of what we talked about earlier with the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to get somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't sit here and talk about how devalued the position is and talk about then how it's so tough to find one.
Yeah.
Those don't work together. You'll be able to get somebody. Like I said, like Leonard Fournette, I know he's not the answer end all be all. He's still not on a roster right now. He's clearly good enough to be playing in the NFL right now. And I'm not even talking just on their team. They could make a move. If it came to something like that where it was like Pollard's out for the season, you can make a move for running back. That is one position that
you're easy.
You can find somebody.
Feel okay
if it's a situation where Pollard only goes down for a couple
and that player
of
won't be
weeks.
Tony Pollard, by the way. I'm not saying that next player up that you would get would be on Pollard's level.
I was about
I'm not
to say,
saying
because you
that.
franchise tagged him for a reason.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying you'd be able to get someone that could at least be adequate. So go ahead.
If Pollard went down for a couple of weeks and it's kind of during Ronald Jones' suspension, I would feel good about Rico stepping in and at least playing a couple of games. Not the long-term solution by any means, but I think he would be ready for that role.
Yeah.
The health has been the only thing with Rico.
It has. Yeah.
For real.
It really has.
And he's well-rounded as a pass blocker. He can pass catch. I mean, he can do a significant amount of stuff.
I really loved his pass protect in the preseason.
Yeah, he did a good job.
It was a lot of fun. But I actually talked to him yesterday, and he's really excited about this opportunity. He's been saying all preseason that this is the biggest opportunity he's had since he's been here, and now he's won RB2, and he's still saying the same thing. So
he was always one of those guys that, like, when you would talk to Tony or Zeke, because Rico would work out with them sometimes, they would always mention his name. You wouldn't be even asking about him, but like they would bring him up, like, no, Rico too. If he, as long as he's healthy and stuff like that. And so it'd be that's the stuff that I always find interesting, because obviously when you ask like a player a question, there's always a part of you like, are they just saying this media-wise, whatever, like that, just to give you the right answer? But it's always when someone offers up something where like, well, we really didn't ask about it. That's kind of interesting. Like, you kind of just keep it in the back of your mind, like, oh, that they're kind of mentioning this thing. Like, maybe that's something to keep, So I think if Rico stays healthy, I think he can do the job for sure.
I'm excited to see how this running back room works out. And our statistician extraordinaire, Chris Beam in the back, says that Darren Sproles had 8 carries for 50 yards as a rookie. Over, under for Deuce. Real quick, go.
For the season?
For the season, his rookie season.
He's going to get more than 8 carries.
Over.
He might get 8 in the first game. So
over.
Yeah.
I am over.
Over as well. All right, that does it for us here on Talkin Cowboys. Okay, we're not done with podcasts just yet. Be sure to tune in to Cowboys Storyline. It's the newest podcast. Nick Eatman does a phenomenal job. He's coming in here in a couple minutes. They get started at 11 a.m. Central Time. If you're listening to this on demand later, you can also find Cowboys Storyline on demand and give them a call at 888-855-2297. Let's get the calls rolling for my man Nick Eatman here in just a couple moments. But that does it for us on Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. For Isaiah Stanback, John Machota, Nick Harris, I'm Kyle Yeomans. That does it for Say It With Your Chest Friday. It's game week the next time we're on air. We'll see you next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!